This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight in the South today, as Lawrence Man is contemplating whether to sell ancient Moa bones salvaged from a rubbish dump. The 74th anniversary of an atomic bomb being dropped on Hiroshima has been commemorated in Dunedin. And Central Otago-based authors are set to read some of their poems at Take a Risk, Make a Poem in Alexandra. Hello and welcome, I'm Anastasia Munzer. 74 years ago, an atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, killing more than 120,000 people. The anniversary is commemorated around the globe and has been remembered in Dunedin at the city's Peace Pole.
Sombre drums marking time. 74 years on from the first time an atomic weapon was used in war, killing more than 120,000 people.
At this exact time, 74 years ago, that's when the world's first atomic weapon was dropped on a city. And we hold this every year to remember because we think that it's important never to forget.
Dunedin's commemorations are hosted by the National Centre for Peace and Conflict Studies. The Centre's director, Richard Jackson, says each year the event is a reminder both of the events of 1945 and of the continued threat of nuclear weapons.
To remind us about the peril of nuclear weapons and the tragedy that's happened and the ongoing need to try and rid the world of these weapons, or at least to greatly restrict them.
Professor Jackson says with World War II ending 74 years ago, people could be forgiven for thinking nuclear weapons are no longer an issue. But he says the current geopolitical climate is fragile in many areas.
It's sometimes tempting to think that the danger from nuclear weapons has passed, but it really hasn't, particularly in places like the Korean Peninsula, the rivalry between India and Pakistan, the ongoing or renewing kind of Cold War between Russia and the United States, tensions with China. These are all nuclear weapon states.
The event featured Japanese taiko drumming by a Dunedin ensemble, O Taiko. The city's events even more poignant with a group from Usada Girls High School in Hiroshima, Japan, among those at the rally yesterday by the Peace Pole on the Otago Museum Reserve. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A Balclutha woman convicted of careless driving causing injury can't recall a collision last November which left her in a wheelchair and her victim too traumatised to travel. Before this collision near Waihola in November last year, 58-year-old Balclutha woman Judith Tunner was a caregiver with an unblemished driving record after 35 years behind the wheel. Yesterday she sat in the Dunedin District Court in a wheelchair which she's likely to spend the rest of her life in and was convicted of careless driving causing injury. Judge Kevin Phillips ordered Tunner to pay the 25-year-old victim of the smash more than $10,000 and banned her from driving for 6 months. Police summary of facts states both vehicles were totally destroyed. Her victim received multiple injuries and Judge Phillips says the psychological trauma she suffered is also severe. Central Otago-based authors are set to read some of their poems at Take a Risk, Make a Poem in Alexandra later this month. Being held on National Poetry Day, the event will include Miller's Flat author Kyle Mewburn.
On a beach in the sun, watching the sand clinging to sweaty bodies and sneaking to those most secret nooks and crannies, I hear a golden man with golden hair and a well-tended golden moustache, say loudly that the water is polluted, unclean, as he empties another bottle of Amber Solaire onto his glistening golden skin.
Reading one of her short poems, Kyle Mewburn is set to join fellow Central Otago authors Brian Turner, Gillian Sullivan, Michael Harlow and Mike Riddell at the Central Stories Museum and Art Gallery in Alexandra on National Poetry Day, the 23rd of August. These days Mewburn writes poetry for children, but she started out creating poems to help her work through personal issues.
I wrote a lot when I was struggling with coming to terms with the world and life and relationships and So it was a way of expressing yourself and trying to put in words what you're feeling without being all very saccharine about it, hopefully.
She says the meaning behind poems is often an unsolved mystery, remaining open to interpretation.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with poetry, isn't it? It's really, you never know what unless you know the poet and they can tell you. And if they're a normal poet, they'd probably say they wouldn't tell you anyway. So you've got to sort of, it's about just getting something from it without being over-analysing. Once you start thinking about it too much, it's supposed to touch something which is deeper than on the surface.
And in her own writing, she's all about letting the words come to her.
I hate children's stories and I hate poetry which tries to tell you something specifically and says, this is what I'm saying, which becomes a sermon more than a poem. So I try to sort of just randomly have an idea, which could be a very small idea, and unfold it, or let itself unfold, really.
Members of the public are also invited to submit their own work or work by a favourite poet or songwriter for display at the Central Stories Museum and Art Gallery. In Alexandra, the South Today.
Dunedin police say miscreants are continuing to target vehicles all over Dunedin. Senior Sergeant Craig Dennison says a 97 Toyota Corolla and a 2007 moped were stolen from South Dunedin. He says last night 5 cars were broken into in the area of Miller Road near Dunedin Airport. Police are urging anyone who saw anything suspicious to get in touch. A Lawrence man is contemplating whether to sell ancient moa bones salvaged from a rubbish dump after a push by conservationists to ban the practice. Peter Hall has 6 moa bones he and his son Matthew found at Dunedin's Green Island tip 35 years ago.
Scooping up a handful of ancient moa bones, Lawrence man Peter Hall is wondering how much they might fetch online after he and his son spotted them at Green Island's tip in 1984.
The guy next to us was dumping off a whole trailer load of bones. Our son thought that it looked pretty interesting, so I said grab a few. Well, he grabbed about 15.
Hall says they took the bones to Otago Museum, where a bird expert recognised them as belonging to several species of moa, including the South Island giant moa, the tallest bird species ever known.
We took them to the museum, and I think it was Professor or Dr. John Darby identified them all as moa bones, and up to 500 years old.
Since then, he's given a few bones to collectors, and has 6 left over, and is unsure what to do with them. In recent years, conservationists have been pushing for Trade Me to stop allowing the bones to be listed, with Conservation Minister Eugenie Sage joining the call to ban the practice of selling them.
They seem to be quite popular now on Trade Me, so I was researching that to see how much I might get for them, but where that goes I don't know.
Bones from extinct animals are allowed to be sold in New Zealand, unless they're found on Department of Conservation land or an archaeological site. In Lawrence, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, the Reserve Bank has cut its official cash rate by 0.5 percentage point. And last weekend, the musical collective Pacific Underground brought back the 1990s with a reunion show.
Step into Shop on Carroll and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
At Alex Campbell Menswear, we bring you the best value. We have bought a massive selection of moleskins and we're passing on the savings to you. Buy 1 pair, save $25. Buy 2, save $60, and we have a great deal on our knitwear. Look at it all, 25% off all our knitwear. And to go with the knitwear, what about a nice warm shirt? These are 25% off too. And while we're doing the 25% off, what about on the jackets? 25% off them as well.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So check us out for massive savings this winter.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole Map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
If you're suffering from sciatica, lower back pain, hips and pelvis and knees, this technique will work wonders for you. The energy flow is transmitting through the muscles. Come and see Sunny Chin.
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. We have new items arriving every day. Visit us for a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
Welcome back. In a surprise move, the Reserve Bank has cut its official cash rate by 0.5 percentage point to 1.0%. Financial markets were expecting a 25 basis point cut. Mortgage interest rates are already at record lows and look set to push lower still. ASB Bank is the first bank to cut its home loan rates in the wake of the official cash rate cut, shaving 4 basis points off its 2-year fixed term to 3.75%. The Reserve Bank has been loosening monetary conditions since June 2014, when it cut the official cash rate to 3.25%. The New Zealand dollar dropped by 1 cent US to 64.5 cents in response to the announcement. Last weekend, the musical collective Pacific Underground brought back the 1990s with a reunion show. Starting out as a holiday program based in Cathedral Square, the group brought Pacifica culture and identity to the forefront of Canterbury theatre, music, stage and in the clubs.
Time friends with no names, born on open plains, we remain fertile, life-giving and versatile, variations more than capable, turning tables, twisting fate, building fortunes based on...
It started as a holiday program based in Cathedral Square, but quickly became a group who brought Pacifica culture and identity to the forefront of Canterbury theatre, music and stage.
Talofa, my name is Tanya and we are Pacific Underground.
Pacific Underground is bringing back the 1990s for a reunion show as part of the Christchurch Arts Festival.
With Meet Me at the Doghouse, that's one of the many events that we're honouring, how we can honour all the people that we've worked with. You know, so the Doghouse itself is really, it could be anywhere, but it speaks to a time and a place in Christchurch where people of a certain age will remember what that place was. You know, it's a burger joint, you know, but it was at one point the only burger joint that was 24 hours or something, and the place that we would meet.
Right here used to be the press building, and we used to sit here in the sun, the stairs, after getting a feed from the doghouse right here. So there were 3 spots. There was Cat's Pajamas, there was a Greek fish and chip shop, and the doghouse, which had all the games. Because after clubbing, this is where we used to come.
Only place open.
The only place open.
Yeah.
And there was a stage where, remember when our elders were making our kids go home early?
Oh yeah, they had the patrol.
They had patrols.
Oh, right,
So
yeah,
they'd come
yeah.
straight here.
Yeah.
And people just
kids are like,
scatter! Yeah.
It speaks to Christchurch's nightlife, you know, the urban communities that we represent. There's so much in there. And so we just thought, what a great name for a show. And then that way we can honour those musicians that we work with, or we want to honour the ones who were our idols. You know, so we've got older musicians that are coming home to join us, like Steve Apirana, Joe Tamaida, and their kids, you know, and their legacy. There's Dallas Tamaida, you know, from Fat Freddy's Drop, and then Lady and Parks from Lady Six, who are from the Vic and Losses Tamatis family. You know, there's so many connections and how they've affected how our own story of PU, but also how we've impacted on them. This is really cool. It's such a nice way to celebrate who we are. And the theatre side, you know, with Fresh Off the Boat, the timing of it is just, it's been perfect.
Pacific Underground's first big hit was the play Fresh Off the Boat, written by Oscar Kitely and Simon Small. It will be performed at the Court Theatre later this year.
It'll be the first Pacific play on their main stage.
Tanya and her sister Michelle starred in the original play, but this time around Tanya's daughters will play the roles.
We're really excited, the rest of the members are really excited because it's come again fresh off the boat 25 years later, and also that Tanya is directing it. So we're just, all of us are...
Good luck.
And Pos Mabinga will be the musical director, her husband.
The play was our flagship production. It's what put us on the map in terms of what our theatre side, because PU started as theatre, this is before the music side, and so it put us on the map, but not just in theatre, but in terms of Pacifica people.
Our mentors back then were people that work in social work, Losa Tamati, Vic Tamati, who encouraged students from Pōwai Polynesian Performing Arts at the time, the graduates, to come together, Erelia Ifupo, Simon Small, meeting Oscar Kitely, who was then at the time working for Life in the Fridge. Myself, I was a dance student at Pōwai, and other people, as well as our family supporters, coming together and thinking, hey, we need to tell these stories of what our Pacific people are going through. And fortunately, they encouraged Simon Small and Oscar Kitely to write this play. And who would have thought they would have said the same thing back then? Who would have thought that this play would carry on?
After the break on the South today, a young Ashburton resident has organised a pyjama day at her school to raise funds for the food bank. And we give you more information about tomorrow's ODT and the weather.
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. For a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
Garage Door Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garradoor's quality service. Garradoor Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Step into Ross Cafe, located at Ross Home in North East Valley. We have a great range of hot and cold food, friendly service and a warm atmosphere that you are sure to enjoy. We look forward to serving you soon at Ross Cafe.
If you're suffering from sciatica, lower back pain, hips and pelvis and knees, this technique will work wonders for you. The energy flow is transmitting through the muscles. Come and see Sunny Chin.
At Alex Campbell Menswear, we bring you the best value. We have bought a massive selection of moleskins and we're passing on the savings to you. Buy one pair, save $25. Buy two, save $60, and we have a great deal on our knitwear. Look at it all, 25% off all our knitwear. And to go with the knitwear, what about a nice warm shirt? These are 25% off too. And while we're doing the 25% off, what about on the jackets? 25% off them as well.
Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So check us out for massive savings this winter.
Step into Shop on Carrot and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Welcome back. A youngster from Long Beach School south of Ashburton organised a pyjama day at her own school. The inaugural event was to collect donations for the local food bank.
Wearing your pyjamas to school for a good cause. Long Beach School pupil Holly Burrows wanted to help local families in need, so came up with a way to inspire her classmates to help others less fortunate.
So today's about when so people normally somewhere spend more money on power instead of food.
Miss Burrows says food brought to the school by pupils will go where it's needed.
What we're going to do is send it to the food bank to those families so then they can have food and they can have something to eat through the winter and autumn.
She was pleased with how the first pyjama day went.
They bring lots of food, lots of cans and lots of food.
A number of non-perishable food items were donated to the Ashburton Food Bank. In Ashburton, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. A Lawrence man is contemplating whether to sell ancient Moor bone salvage from a rubbish dump after a push by conservationists to ban the practice. It's 74 years since an atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, killing more than 120,000 people. The anniversary commemorated in Dunedin. And Central Otago-based authors are set to read some of their poems at Take a Risk, Make a Poem in Alexandra later this month. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Barry.
Hello, Anna. A Dunedin person has been arrested as part of a national meth raid by police. Pretty significant operation it was. I think 10 arrests overall. 4 power poles fell down during one night this week in Alexandra. And the Vinston Community Board are demanding answers from Aurora. We have a reaction to the government's decision to invest $5 million to keep Telford going for the next 2 years. And Otago 6 councils have banded together and have a plan to work together to help promote economic development across the region. Scientists have just stumbled across the remains in St Bathans of a supersized giant parrot that stalked New Zealand 20 million years ago, and it was the size of a human, half the height of a human.
Oh, wow.
So that's a pretty giant parrot. So details of that in the paper tomorrow. A Queenstown builder has been jailed for 5 years for sexually assaulting a woman in the resort in 2017. Lots of sports action in the paper tomorrow. We'll have the All Black team to play the Bledisloe Cup match against Australia in Perth, and lots of other information.
Cool, thanks for that,
Thank
Barry.
you.
Awesome. And now time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by MoleMap.
Beginning with the southern view of rail barrier arms lifting at Dunedin St Andrew Street, crossing as cars begin coming across the tracks. Looking at the situation, a westerly airflow is expected for a few more days as cold fronts wash over southern districts from the South Tasman Sea. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport can expect more rain and 13 degrees. Across to the northeast, Nelson and Blenheim are due for a cloud or two and 15. Moving down to Canterbury, Kaikoura has cloudy skies and 13. Christchurch and Ashburton, you're also expecting a cloud or two with 14 degrees. Looking at what's in store for the southern towns, Balclutha and Catlins are due for late showers, westerlies and 11 degrees. Lumsden and Gore can both expect fresh westerlies and rain later with 10-degree highs. Travelling westward to the Central Lakes, moderate westerlies and clear skies across this area. Queenstown and Wanaka, you're both fine with 9. Alexandria, you're also in for a clear skies but slightly warmer on 11. And take a coat in Te Anau as you've got rain with your 10-degree high. Looking at the northern towns along the coast, Timaru and Oamaru can expect moderate westerlies, clear skies and a high of 13. Further inland, Twias and Omarama, you're set for fresh westerlies, clear skies and a high of 10. In Dunedin, it'll mostly be cloudy tonight with an overnight low of 7 degrees. Fine tomorrow with thick high cloud, moderate west to northwesterly winds, pleasant temperatures with a high of 12 and an overnight low of 4. A few sunny periods at first on Friday, then a few light showers during the afternoon, clearing to a cloudy evening with a high of 9 and an overnight low of 5 degrees. And finally, moving to Invercargill, you can expect a few showers tonight with an overnight low of 7 degrees. Mostly cloudy tomorrow with some scattered light showers at first, but more persistent rain developing during the afternoon. A high of 11 followed by an overnight low of 7. Rain easing to showers on Friday with fresh cold westerly winds decreasing with a high of 9 and a low of 6 degrees. And that's all for the news this Wednesday. Have a great evening. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.